Today I'll be showing you the diagonal double half hitch knot as well as the alternating square knot pattern. As you can see, I've added my cords using the lark stud knot to my dowel. I also did one row of 4 square knots. You can review these patterns in my previous tutorial of beginner macrame knots. We will be starting our alternate row of square knots on the second row using 2 cords from the first square knot and 2 cords from the second square knot. As you can see, we will be using the outer cords. The left cord will come over in the shape of a 4, the right cord will come over it around the back and through the loop, pulling the strings to tighten. You will be doing the reverse of that, right to left. The left cord comes over around the back and through, pulling up to tighten, making your square knot. We will continue our pattern using 4 strings from the 2 square knots directly above us and continue the pattern for 1 more square knot to complete the row. Here you can see we have 2 loose strings at the ends of our first row and 2 at the end of our second row. This pattern will continue losing 2 strings at the end of each row with each proximate row that you make. And here we are at the last square knot of our pattern. As you can see here, it has made a beautiful V shape. And next we will begin our diagonal double half hitch knots along the sides. Using the 2 outer cords, it will help you guide and direct your pattern. Starting from the left, we will use the far left cord as our base cord and the second cord in line to create our loop. You will put your fingers to grab the base cord and pulling it through the loop, creating your first knot. You will continue using the same cord to create your second loop, again pulling the base cord through to create 2 knots at the top. You will then move on to the second string in line, repeating the example from before, creating the loop, pulling the base cord through, and pulling up to tighten. Then, using the same cord, creating your second loop, pulling the base cord through again, and pulling up to tighten to create your second knot. You will move through the rest of the strings until you get to the center of the V, doing the same pattern. You will continue working the pattern through the 2 left strings of the last square knot. Begin your diagonal half hitch knots using the outermost cord as your base cord and your second inner cord to create the loop, pulling the base cord through and pulling up to tighten just as before. Again, you will make 2 knots per string. You may notice I direct my base cord near the square knots of my pattern so as not to leave a gap between the knots of the square knots and the knots from the half hitch. One of the great things about macrame is if you make a mistake, the knots are not permanent, so it's very easy to undo the knot and try again. It's a beautiful and easy art form, and there is no wrong way to create a design. Once you have finished working the pattern on both sides, you will see that there is a gap in the middle. You can continue working the pattern with either cord as your base cord or your working cord. Since I finished my pattern on the right side, I will continue in this direction for continuity. Again, it's up to you and it's user preference. And there you have it. You've learned an alternating square knot pattern as well as the diagonal double half hitch knot.
Hi, thanks for watching my macrame tutorial. Hopefully learning this pattern and new knot will have inspired you to create your own beautiful macrame masterpiece. Bye!